Dumba Jumden de Java Jumba Yandava Zobe Sanje Riba Dan Shamsu Temba Devara Shiva Jigden Jemba Jebun Dube Galo Jorwa Lana Meba Lada Menam Je Temba Sanje Jumden de Pejava Shaja Tuba La Chazel Chedo jaso je ho edamba jomden de je shewa da jomba yang da ba zobe sanje rigwa da shabsu temba devara jeba jeden nyemba jebun dube galo yorba lana meba Lada me namje dumba zanje jumden de bejawa shaja tuba la chazel chudo jaso je ho dumba jumden de je jawa da jumba yanda ba zobe sanje rigwa da shazu temba Devara jeva jiden jemba jebun dube galo jorva lana meva lada menam je tomba sanje jomdende bejava jaja doba la janje chudo jaso je ho sanje chudan soje chonama la chanju padu tane jamso je Dagi sheshe jebe zonamanje dola penje sanje dobara sho sanje shodan soje chonamala chanju upado tane jamso je Dagi sheshe jebe zonamanje dola penje sanje Dobara sho sanje chedan soje shonama ala chanju pado tane janso je Tagi cheche jebe zonama je dola penje sanje Dobara sho Good morning to everybody. Where are we? Let me see. Okay, so where are we now? We are here. Okay, so let's kind of recap. So remember, just to recap, Shantideva is almost like while he is teaching, he's almost like reading our minds. He is just reading our train of thoughts. And then, as kind of arguments or a doubt or questions arise in our mind, in our thought, Shantideva answers all that questions. So remember, first, when refuting the no, I'm not really refuting. It's like pointing out the pointlessness of our desire or obsession to these tactiles or those sensual pleasures. So he is kind of drilling down. What is it that you are so obsessed about? What is that you find it so pleasurable and so joyful? So when you say, "Oh, it's the contact, it's the this what do you call that? The tangible is the tactile, that sensation, that feeling, or that through contact. That's what I desire." So in that case, you say, if that is what you are obsessed about, then why don't you use a soft cotton-filled pillow? Because it provides that softness, that touch, that tactile. Then one may argue that no, that pillow doesn't really work. I need somebody to sleep with. So therefore I am attached to a human body. It's like I am after the flesh, the contact with the flesh. Is not just any kind of contact, it's a contact with the flesh. So if that is what you are attached to, then Shantideva was saying that, then why do you run away from dead body, the corpses? That's also flesh. If your attachment is really to flesh, then why don't you attach? Why are you not attached to a dead body, to corpse? But instead, you run away. So that means that you are not really after the flesh. But then one may argue that, oh no, it's not just the flesh. There's a mental factor. That dead body doesn't have a mind. And then so are you saying that you are attached to a mind? Your desire is kind of aimed, or is targeted at mind. Then it says the flesh or the human body, the other's body, is always a formless, is always a matter, is always physical, is never a mind. So you are again running towards the wrong direction. And then Shantideva concludes by saying that it is not that surprising if one does not really understand the impurity or the uncleanliness of others' body. But you well know that your own body is filled with filth. It's unclean, it's impure. So not knowing that, not being aware of that fact, is something of a surprise. And then one argues that it's not really it's not really the flesh and this, but it's more of the shape, the what do you call, the complexion, the beauty. These are the ones that I'm after. In that case, Shantideva says that if it is really the appearance, it is really the look, the pretty look, then why don't you fall in love, or why don't you chase after a lotus flower, which in terms of shape, in terms of color, in terms of appearance, is very beautiful, it's very pretty. So that's the conclusion. And then he goes on to suggest that the body that we are so attached to is not only a cause of all filth and dirt, but it is also a product of filth and dirt. How we are created, how we are conceived, and then how we nurture inside the mother's womb, and then how we are born, and then again how we are nurtured through mother's care, through mother's various way of feeding us. So if we contemplate on that, how we are created, the causes of how we became a product of all those unclean things, then there's no reason, it is meaningless to be so attached to our own body as well as others. If I am not attached to what is unclean, why do I copulate with the lower parts of others' bodies, which arise from the unclean field, which is made out of all unclean substances, impure substances, and are produced by the seeds within it? We may think that we are not obsessed or attached to unclean form or unclean body. But Shandita was saying that it is actually the same thing. What you are chasing after is aggregate of filth and dirt. So let's continue. So through various reasons, Shantideva is trying to show us that we are, our passion, whatever reasons or excuses we give, but in reality we are, our passion is for what is impure, something that is impure. So he's now compounding, is it? Anyway, is offering additional reasons. Mizan rangshin, no, this is not one. Mizan le jong mizan sin, chungwang könde meje la. Mizan mangi rangshin lu, mizan kebang dobar ches. So basically, Shantideva was saying that the body that we are so attached to, whether it be our own body or others' body, that is produced, not only it was produced by something unclean, and also itself produces, body itself produces unclean substances. So it is, our body is a product of unclean, but also a cause of a source of unclean substances. So therefore, it's like, no point. I have no wish for small dirty maggots which has come from a pile of filth. So why do I desire this body, which by nature is grossly unclean, for it too was produced by filth? I think in earlier one of the slides image, I have this, a bottle of urine. When we go for medical checkup, sometimes you are asked to bring a urine sample. So if you are asked to hold somebody's urine sample, how would you hold it? How would you look at it? Even though it is in a container, there is no spill, nothing is leaking, you still feel kind of repulsed. We still feel disgusted. Some may even throw up just at the mere sight of urine or something. And now imagine that if you are to hold that container, which is not tightly closed, and then there are what you call spills, and then something is leaking, how would you feel? We feel so repulsed, so there's a strong sense of revulsion towards that. But now imagine our own body or others' body. There's continuous emission of substances, isn't it? From the nose, from the eyes, what is called the 9 holes. But we don't see that. We will do anything when we are blinded by attachment, especially that kind of driven by sensual desire, sensual pleasure. We are completely blinded. So this is the analogy. I have no wish for small dirty maggots, which has come from a pile of filth. So if we come across carcasses, a dead body of animals, which is rotten and by now fasted on by hundreds of maggots, just that mere sight disgusts us. It's mainly because it has become a filth. So why do I desire this body, which by nature is greatly unclean? So on the one hand, of course, it is important to reduce our attachment towards others' body, obsessions over others' body. But it is also important to reduce attachment to our own body. Not only our body, most important thing is, the attachment, there are so many types. We are attached to so many things. Our body, our stand, our views, our thoughts, our ideas. When we are so obsessed, so strongly attached to our ideas, our views, our image, our body, that's when we get into trouble. because sometimes we are completely blinded by this attachment that we fail to see the reality. We fail to see the facts, even it was provided to you, even it was produced to you. So you see the danger of one's attachment to one's body, one's view, one's thought. Those people who are so egoistic, it is because they are so attached to themselves. Narcissist. Because of this strong attachment, narcissism arises. Then you think that you are the best. When you have that kind of misconstrued idea of yourself, then you cannot tolerate anything others say which is not nice and pleasant to you. And then when we are attached to other people, we engage in all kinds of things. And I think when you reflect, when you look back in your life, you will realize, you will find so many examples of your own attachment, or more of what you call the desire, that raw desire has blinded you. So now when you look as a bystander, you see that how stupid, how foolish, how blinded you have become. You couldn't even imagine that it was you who did all this, because at that time the attachment or this desire was so strong that you couldn't see other things, other perspectives. So I think Shantideva, you can see that stanza after stanza, we are already on to 50, 60 stanzas, and it's almost all about attachment. So this illustrates the importance of reducing, if not eradicating, all the attachment. The danger that Shantideva is highlighting, the danger, the risk, the destruction one's attachment can cause. Especially somebody who wanted to really develop the calm abiding or the mental stability. There is no way one can focus on a single object if one is filled with this strong desire. Every time one tries to focus on the object of meditation, that other thing keeps popping up. So when such happens, these are some of the ways we can reflect on, we can contemplate on, so that it can help us reduce our attachment. This is the picture I'm talking about. This is supposed to be an image of a bottle of urine. Who would lovingly embrace or hug a jar filled with urine? So here one may argue that, yes, I understand, I agree, I concur that the other's body whom I am so attached to is unclean, but my own body is also unclean. So embracing another unclean body, unclean object is okay. If I am so clean and then the other is unclean, then I can understand why I should not be so attached to. But since my body is also unclean, so it doesn't really matter. It is okay to be attached to. So if you say that, then Shantideva says this word. Kyune ranyi mizanla mumi chebar maseki. Mizan keba mizanla kambe shenyang dobar ches. Not only do I not disparage the uncleanliness of my own body, if you really realize, if you are really aware that your body is also an aggregate of dirts and filth, then you should feel humble about it. But instead, you kind of proud, you show kind of pride in that. But because of an obsession for what is unclean, I desire other bags of filth as well. Basically, it is like disparaging that kind of attitude. That one should be really humbled of having this understanding, this awareness that my body is nothing to be obsessed with, nothing to be attached to, because it is a source, it is filled with dirt, it is impure, it is unclean. And instead of feeling that way, one is so obsessed about other unclean. I desire other bags of filth as well. It is like, oh, I'm not that clean, so let me just hold or embrace or hug a jar of urine. We wouldn't do that. Basically, it's kind of scolding us for craving for other unclean body. So now, making the point clearer with an analogy. Oops, sorry. Here. So this comes, so now is another kind of subheading, which is to reflect on one's unclean body. And then if we are still attached to such an unclean and filthy body, then it says that one should be attached to the bodies that were scattered in the in cemeteries. Kabur la so yungda dejen thagam chomang rung karjuk chijung porwayi sayang mizan zokpar jurus. Even attractive things such as savory foods, cooked rice and vegetables, make the ground dirty and unclean should they be spat out after being in the mouth. So when we always say that always be nice to your waiters when you are in a restaurant, it is not wise to be rude to your waiter who is going to serve your food. The fear is that the waiter may spit into your food. So here saying that no matter how delicious the food is, or how good the how the quality of the food, no matter how good the quality of the food or how good it tastes, but when you throw out that food out, when you vomit, even though not really vomit per se, is that if you put in your mouth and then if you throw out, if you spit out, not only that morsel or that mouthful of food is considered dirty and unclean, but it is also viewed as soiling the ground. Everybody will kind of walk away from there. If somebody spits near you, you will run away. That's our attitude. So if that is the case, then why are we so attached to our body? Even contemplating on that analogy, still it doesn't help you. It doesn't bring any changes within you. It has no effect or impact on you. Then the advice is to kede mizan dedawa ngozum turjang tesomna tudu tadu porvelu mizan shenya tawar cheese. Although such uncleanliness is obvious, if I still have doubts, I should go to the cemeteries and look at the unclean bodies of others that have been thrown away there. If still there's nothing, if nothing is happening despite your repeated contemplations along these lines, then the advice is to go visit a cemetery site. But of course, here you cannot find scattered bodies. Everything is buried. But if there are bodies that are scattered, you go and look at it. And then convince yourself that this is what happens eventually. The body that you treasure so much, you guard it with your life. You does not allow, you do not allow anybody to even allow anybody to even a slightest pain or harm. But eventually, this is the fate. There's no difference. Eventually, our own bodies will be thrown away, will be fed on by maggots, will disintegrate, will rot, will decay. Tudu tadu porvelu mezan shen tawarji, kan le pakbe kachena, jigwa chenpo ke gyurwa, she jang chidar tinyi la chirshin gawa kebar gyurus. And then imagine, then contemplate, or even if it's possible, to look at the body itself, starting with the upper parts of the body, and cut open and see what's in there. When you peel open the skin, the pus, the blood, all that dirty substance will ooze out. And then you will see all the organs in there. When it is covered or hidden underneath the skin, it looks quite nice. It can look pleasant. But when you cut open, it is not the same. Having realized that when their skin is peeled open, they give rise to a great deal of fear. Instead of being attached to it, instead of finding pleasure and joy, it may instill fear. One may become so scared and fearful upon witnessing the reality. So after seeing all this, after even feeling a certain degree of fear and also sadness, so how will such things as this ever give rise to joy? How will such things as this ever give rise to joy? So now the question is, if I go to cemetery and if I look at the bodies, will that engender attachment, more attachment towards body? Because in Vinaya there is a story about someone after seeing a dead body. So there was that his urges arose, and then there's some story about that. Because of that, Buddha has to make certain rules. So like that person, so if I go to the cemetery and if I look at the dead bodies, will it not increase my desire? So that's when Say if you feel if you are concerned that visiting the graveyard and the concern that the sight of these dead bodies will aggregate one's desire, then it says that you have to imagine, you have to look, peel open the skin and see what is the state. Instead of increasing one's desire, it will give rise to fear. You may get frightened or disgusted or develop certain degree of revulsion. So if that is the case, then how will such things as these ever give rise to joy? It will never give you rise when you follow this advice, visiting the cemetery site of cemetery or cemeteries. So therefore regard one's own body and the bodies of others, those bodies that we find attractive, or the bodies of attractive objects, as being like corpses in a charnel ground, and thereby reduce or negate our attachment towards our body as well as that of others. So now, what is that one? Adornment of what is artificial. So now is a different kind of heading. So which literal translation is like this: adornment of what is artificial cannot maintain the cleanliness of the body. We may use all kinds of things, but that does not make the body clean. And then second subheading is body is subject to decaying. And also body is seen as the source of detachment, something to be feared of, something to be humbled about. So now one may argue that the body itself is unclean, is filled with filth. And I see that, I perceive it as unclean, but when it is, anointed with fragrance, with all kind of scents, that's what I like about. That's what I find joyful. That's why I am attached to. So to this response, Shantideva says that Lula kube chi deyang senden so yin shen ma yin shenji chi de shendala chi chena chabarches. Rejecting or denying the characteristic of cleanliness. So artificial, the external things cannot make the body clean. The scents with which someone's body is anointed are sandalwood and the like but not that of the other's body. So when you use all kinds of scents, people buy all kinds of scents, and these perfumes are not cheap, isn't it? Just a small bottle of perfume is so expensive, but people do that. People buy that. People spend so much money just on perfume. So when you use the perfume, here is the sandalwood, because in India at that time, sandalwood is used as the as perfume or as scents to supplement, I don't know, the fragrance. So as others' bodies, but not that of the other's body. So all these nice smells, the fragrance, is that of the sandalwood if you are using the sandalwood. It's not of the body. So there's still no reason for one to obsess or attach to the body. If you are, then it has to be to the scent, to the fragrance, the scent of the sandalwood, because that's what you like about it. It's not the body, but not that of others' body. So why am I attached to others' body? When sense that you like is not that of others' body. Since the body has a naturally foul odor, isn't it good to be unattached to it? So isn't it better? Isn't it appropriate not to attach to the body, which no matter how many perfumes, what kind of brand you use, how expensive the perfume is, no matter what kind of perfume you use, the body will remain as a bag of filth. It will not change. It is like the analogy in one of the commentaries is the lotus. So based on this logic, that one can still be attached to the body because of the fragrance that you use. So it's like, this is similar to saying, this is akin to saying that, oh, I am attached to the mud where it grows that beautiful lotus. And also they give examples. Let's say if you, in other version, it's like not just the perfume, but there are ornaments. If one thing, the ornament is the one that drives you to attach to the person. So then it's like if you place ornaments, gold or diamond ornaments, next to a charcoal pile of charcoal, are you going to say that I'm attached to the charcoal? It is similar, it is akin to saying that I'm attached to charcoal, because that ornament is not charcoal. I hope it makes sense. The sense which someone's body is anointed as sandalwood and like, but not that of the other's body. So why am I attached to others' body? Because of sense? because of sense that are other than theirs, since the body has a naturally foul. So since the body has a naturally foul odor, isn't it good to be unattached to it? Jigden töme sekba ta. Jigden töme sekba ta. Chide tela tishim ku. Wende tishim zendeni lulan dini chishi chung. Shenji tiyi shendala chiyi chena chabar ches. Why do those who crave for the meaningless things of the world anoint this body with pleasant scents? And furthermore, if it is the pleasant scent of sandalwood, how can it come from the body? So why am I attached to others' body? Because of scents that are other than theirs? So this is basically showing that what you call the unrelatedness, that disconnection. The reason for your attachment is not really what you are attached to. You say that you are drawn by the scent, but you are attached to the body. So in the picture, you see the garbage bag. We can use expensive, very good quality perfumes and spray it on the trash bag. But even though it smells so good, there is a very pleasant fragrance, but we wouldn't hug the garbage bag. We wouldn't bring that into our room. We wouldn't place that on our bed. We will instead run away. So the logic, the reason we provide for our attachment to others' body is really similar to this garbage bag. It is similar to what the image is showing. That if somebody does that, we will perceive that person as stupid, foolish, insane for doing that. But when it comes to our attachment to others' body and our own body, we are doing the same. We give so much attention to our body. Even though we know that we shouldn't be attached to, but we spend so much time and energy and even resources to make our body look nice and presentable. So Shantideva is saying is that how can it come from the body? Because body, its natural smell is foul, the odor is terrible. So if the scent, that perfume smell that is coming from our body is not really body smell, so why are we attached to? Because the actual smell of the body is something unpleasant. Are you saying that So here says, so why am I attached to others' body? Because of sense that are other than theirs? So this, yeah, I think it's quite clear with this picture. 几边对面先去提现到了记忆呢，差不多解释。Kedetasin ringwa tang soja tirche damki tis, dabki tis, kwebes, luji rangshini chibun jigba nyi na rangla nöbe chön shindu tebe chichir chidor ches. Tebe chichir chidor ches. So again we can argue that yeah, it's naturally the body is unclean and filthy and it has odor and all that. But then we can use makeup to make it look pretty, smell nicely. So to this, it says, since the naked body left its natural state is very frightening due to its long hair and nails, its yellowish, foul-smelling teeth, and its being coated with the odor of dirt, why do I make such an effort to polish it like a weapon that will cause me harm? So this is, we have to kind of picture ourselves. Actually, I thought that I have another image. Oh, here, this is better. This image is better. Since the naked body left in natural state, so if we leave our body in its natural state, let the hairs grow, not to trim the nails, then it will, we turn into kind of scary beings. Like the picture here. But Shandita was saying that putting so much time and effort into making our let me rephrase. So when we have this kind of, when we let the natural take the course, nature take the course, and leave everything to nature, if we don't do anything, then we can become very scary. And if we come across or encounter such a person, we may be scared because it is such a frightening sight. But Shantideva is saying that our committing time, effort in making our body look prettier and nice is even worse, is even scarier. No, let me rephrase this again. Shantideva was saying it is even scarier if we spend so much time on our body to make it look pleasant, look nice, look pretty, and then we attach to it. It can cause so much damage. Basically, it's attachment. So this is like sharpening the weapon that will cause us harm. So let's say there's a small town and there's only one blacksmith that makes sword, And if he is to be executed in a month's time, and if he is to make that knife, or not knife, sword, and if he were to sharpen that knife, it is like he is preparing for his own execution. He is facilitating his own execution, his own murder. So basically, what Shantideva is saying is that it can cause graver destruction. Why do I make such an effort to polish it like a weapon that will cause me harm? Because when you spend so much time to make it look pretty, the likelihood of your attachment will be higher. And as a result, all kinds of negative, actions will ensue. So, he says, Pena chiba sowa togne su, dine karbu chashi tarakyangni. Karbu ngobur minjur sebarjur, chilu chinji logi ngaigejens. This is from Sutra. So this is the analogy. If you have a pile, let's say if you have a pile of charcoal, and if you say, oh, I want to turn all this charcoal into a white thing, and then if you started rubbing or whatever you started to do, is that instead of turning that into a white one, it will all diminish. The more you rub, the more it loses. And in the end, there's nothing left. You can never change a charcoal into a white substance. Charcoal will remain no matter whatever you do, no matter how much effort you put. It will always remain black. It will never turn white. So our nature is unclean. By nature, the body is unclean. No matter whatever we do, it will always remain unclean. It's just waste of time. It's like covering this pile of charcoal with a white cloth to look white, but inside it is still black. Tala mongben beba yi nyöbe sadi kundu chuk. Rugon bashi tongne ni tudu duni yi chungna. Yowe rugon ki kabe chongge tudu la gaham. Hence this entire world is disturbed with insanity due to the exertions of those who are confused about themselves. When my mind rises above worldly concerns through having beheld nothing but skeletons in the cemetery, will there be any joy in graveyard cities which are riddled with a moving skeleton? So basically this is like Shantideva is saddened to see the fact that people are so ignorant and they waste their time. They put so much effort in beautifying the body which is by nature unclean, and then they uh, develop attachment to such bodies. And saying that our earth is filled with such ignorant people. So if one is to go to a cemetery and contemplate and realize the meaninglessness, uselessness, pointlessness of all this, then how can one get so attached again? Or in another way to look at this is that so when you go to a cemetery and reflect upon witnessing or upon seeing the fate of our own body, not really own body, our fate of our body, even eventually what becomes our body. And if we are able to generate some sense of fearfulness or sadness upon realizing the fact that our body is subject to decay, and therefore there is no reason to be attached to. So normally our tendency is when we go and see dead bodies, there is always some degree of, fearfulness or some degree of insight. It says, if we are able to do that, and then when you compare that to the living beings, Shantideva here likens living beings as insane. It's like those skeletons that you see in the cemeteries. But the living beings are moving. It's like a zombie. The dead body there are not moving, but human beings is like a dead body, but it's being moved, it's being propelled by all kinds of distorted thoughts. So how can you, because that would be more scary. The dead bodies are not moving. Even though it has all that skeleton and all this, but at least it's not moving. But then those human beings that we are so attached to are similar, but in addition to all that fearfulness characteristics, but it can walk, it can make movement, it is moving things. And what propels that movement is all that distorted thoughts. So when you imagine or put that two together, and if you compare, if you are so scared with this thing, you should be even more scared with the one that can even move. I think that's what Shantideva is trying to say here. Hence, this entire world is disturbed with insanity due to the exertions of those who are confused about themselves. When my mind rises above worldly concerns, that is when you realize this through your contemplation, through having beheld nothing but skeletons in the cemetery. After viewing that, after reflecting on that, when you are able to rise above the worldly concerns, when you are able to gain some insights, Will there be any joy in graveyard cities which are riled with the moving skeletons? So Shantideva likens human beings to moving skeletons, similar to the bodies in the graveyard, but moving. Oh, okay. I think that's for today. I am wondering how you are finding these segments of teachings. But in order to arrive, or in order to touch the main point, the main body, is to develop the true bodhicitta. In order to do that, remember we have discussed that in order to develop the ultimate bodhicitta. So the true bodhicitta, we have the conventional bodhicitta and the ultimate bodhicitta. In order to develop effective ultimate bodhicitta that can really counter the root cause of samsara, that can tackle the ignorance, one needs to develop calm abiding. Without the mind of this, without the stable mind, even though we are able to perceive emptiness, it won't be that effective. It is like holding a magnifying glass. If you are trying to light a piece of paper using a magnifying glass, you have to hold that magnifying glass stable. Your hand needs to be stable in order for the magnifying glass to light the piece of paper. If you keep shaking, then the heat that generates from the magnifying glass won't be targeted on one object or one target. And the paper will never get alighted. So likewise, so conventional bodhicitta is the emptiness realizing, the wisdom realizing emptiness. So in order for that to be effective in rooting out the root cause, the ignorance, we need to have a stable mind. So in order to develop that stable mind, we need to first remove all the obstacles, conditions and things that hinder its development. And one of the main obstacles or hindrance is the attachment. Because of attachment, there will be lots of distractions. With all that running or popping up, all that distraction popping up in our mind, we won't be able to focus our mind on a single object. Without that, there's no way to develop that degree of stability of mind. So for that purpose, even though it is painful, and sometimes it's like you may find is kind of irrelevant, but there is always relevance. So when one listens to Dharma, one has to always find relevance. Remember in Lamrim, one of the qualities is that every instruction, one needs to find every instruction, every single word of Dharma to be relevant in one's method or one's practice to achieve enlightenment. If one finds this is irrelevant, then one is not really able to understand one is not unable to get the holistic understanding of the Dharma. And I agree that some of the teachings, especially in this part, it is difficult. But nobody said that a Dharma practice is easy. I always tell people that if Dharma practice is so easy, then we wouldn't be in this situation. We wouldn't need to tune into Dharma classes. We would all have become enlightened. But because it is very hard, it is difficult, and it takes time, the progress is a gradual and incremental. So we have to what you call strive. And I always believe that prayer is the first step. At the moment you find that all these, I cannot practice this, if I feel it's so difficult, but still make prayers to be able to practice in this life or in next life, or make prayers that you meet or you achieve conditions and circumstances where one is able to really apply all this into Dharma, into practice. So right now, generally, if you make a comparison of somebody who is living a life of celibacy and that of a family life, you can see the conditions are different, circumstances are different. One condition is more favorable to being able to practice this kind of teachings, whereas the other is not. So one can make prayers to have such conditions in the future or in the near future, if not in the next life. Because we all want to become enlightened. We all want to become Buddha. If we want to become Buddha, there is no way we can become Buddha without eradicating attachment, whether it be to ourselves, others. There is no way. Attachment has to be removed, has to be eradicated. So if we continue to be born in a circumstances or with a condition where, like similar condition like this life, then there will be no progress. We're supposed to progress life after life. Of course, we want to achieve enlightenment within one lifetime, but that is quite difficult for most of us. But at least we should try to, expedite. But on the other hand, maybe when you experience, when you lead a lay life, maybe it's easier to realize the teachings, to really see the truth, to really make sense from your own experience. You can say, that's so true. This attachment, this desire, chasing after these sensual pleasures accomplishes nothing. Anyway, I hope that the time that you spent in the class, kind of you find something to take away from these classes. And I wish you all the best. Thank you. Let's say the dedication prayers. Tagi jini zabe jawa de tendan jowa gunla kangben dan jawara juzun losan taba ye tembe nyingbu ringdu seje sho pa jambe bayu jedar kemba dan kundu sambu tenya dejen deda gungi jesu dalo jen jawa deda tamje rabdu ngo dezon jebe jawa tamje je ngowa kanla chodo ngaba Dagi jeve zawan de gwen jan sambo chuji rabdo ngowarangi. Thank you.